So the fundamental challenges of white-collar crime remain the same. Fraud is fraud. People taking advantage of your networks and your employees to gain an advantage over you or your organization. What has changed, however, are the tools they use to cover their tracks and the methods they use to get access to information. Things like cryptocurrency and the dark web make it much easier to launder funds. AI makes it easier to cover your tracks and make fraud sound that much more believable. We used to be able to rely upon things like problems in language or grammatical mistakes in a message. AI covers that track. But it's also true that new technology brings us new opportunities to monitor and track what's being done on our network. As long as we're careful about updating what's available, keeping an eye on the security that exists in our organization and making sure those policies are up to date, we can take on the challenge of white-collar crime. Unfortunately, there are examples where businesses fail to put in the basic precautions that will protect them from white-collar crime and help them avoid some of the challenges that we face in cybersecurity. Things like failure to implement least privilege access, meaning you left things open to an employee that they didn't really need. You left parts of your network open to an outsider that they should never have been able to get to. Or they failed to put in tools that will properly monitor and look at who's active on their networks. But perhaps the most common challenge we see in this area is a failure to train employees, a failure to get the message out about what's important in the organization so that those additional levels of protection are there. The cybersecurity controls that we need to have in place have to be focused on preventing, detecting, and responding to any threat or challenge that comes our way, including white-collar crime. Which means it has to be unified across the organization, which means we have to have the basics in place. Good policies and procedures that are constantly communicated to all of our employees so they understand what's important and how to secure it. Appropriate access controls are in place. We've got endpoint security that helps protect what's important. We're patching when needed. We're updating our software. We're logging activity on our networks. And we've got people in place who take the time to review these logs, review these policies, and make sure that they're all current. When we maintain those basics, we can have a secure environment.